Welcome, I am 𝐸𝐬𝐸 and your host for Keep Traveling Your African Vacation, the only podcast which brings you insightful information in the African tourism industry by real tourism professionals. Today we have another great episode to bring you, and I have the pleasure of introducing Shaun Taylor, who's the General Manager at Ocean House Guesthouse. Shaun, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me on. It's quite a privilege to do one of these with you.
I'm glad to have you on. So tell me a little bit about where your property is located in Africa.
So we're on the west coast of Namibia, nestled in a little town called Swakopmund, where the desert meets the ocean. And it's got this beautiful boundary that is created both by the Namib Desert and the Atlantic Ocean as they meet. So from an aerial photograph, it has these natural little boundaries that make its topography absolutely beautiful. And we're nestled in this little German town surrounded by beautiful architecture and about 500 meters from the beach.
That sounds really cool. So tell me something, how did you end up in the tourism business? Was this always the plan?
Yeah, to be honest with you, at 17 I picked up a book by a very famous chef called Anthony Bourdain called Kitchen Confidential, and read cover to cover and decided if that's the way chefing life is, then that's what I'm going to be doing. 22 years later, here we are. Some of the story is incredible. Some of the story, I suppose, has its learning curves. But yes, this was always the plan. And I think the most favorite part of my 22 years is getting to interact with different people, getting to hear people's stories, especially having joined the company I currently work from, get to hear so many people's stories and their experiences, and that makes it worth it, yeah.
You mentioned chefing, so you're also a highly qualified chef, is that a fair comment?
Yes, I qualified. That was my actual start in this industry. I started in the kitchen. I lied my way into a kitchen at 17, got fired at 18 because growing up in South Africa, you're not meant to work before you're 18 years old. The better part of my career was spent cooking, creating dishes. I have a theory that people come out to be treated as kings and queens. That's why we come out for dinner. That's why we come out for holidays. We don't want the boring thing of doing washing and ironing and cooking and that. And that passion to serve people has always been there. And to see that smile when they leave, I think is probably still today one of the greatest highlights of my job, is seeing a customer leave or a guest leave and they've left a good review or they've thanked you for a piece of advice or something. So I suppose that's the golden nugget that's kept me hooked for the last 20 odd years of this career.
Okay. So tell me, what makes Ocean House Guesthouse different from the other properties around you?
I think it's more to do with the quality of service we provide. South Africa has a saying that says local is lacquer, and in Namibia we try and stick to that as well. And each premises around us has its unique selling point. But I think for me, it's the attention to detail that I want to try and give to each and every client. Doesn't matter where you come from, service needs to be the highest level. You need to feel that you can come and talk to me anytime, no matter what the problem is. We all have bad days, but I try and be there for as many people and on as many levels as possible. So whether it's from a simple recommendation for lunch or a tour going out or just a simple question to the history. I've been fortunate and blessed enough to live in Namibia for 12 years now. I've had the great opportunity to live in Swakopmund for 8 years. So it's benefited me to learn a little bit about the history. The Americans and the Canadians will come and they'll have a lot of questions about the local culture, the German influence, because a lot of the architecture in Swakopmund is still based on the old German architecture, which of course is beautiful. And a lot of people ask to the history of the actual town. So I think in a way that might set me a little bit apart is I like to do research. I like to point them to maybe not the very most touristy things to do, something that you would normally find your locals doing, but it creates that better experience. It gives them a better vibe of the city. So yeah, I think it's just the service level that I try to provide. And hopefully in doing that, it makes us stand out from all of our competition.
What do you think guests always rave about after leaving your property?
Wow, sure, there's so much to pick from, but I think the comment that comes up the most is the peace and the tranquility of where we are based. We're not in the hustle and bustle of the city, so we're about 12 minutes walk from any restaurant, any hotel, the public beach. But if I were to pick out the point, I think it would be the peace and tranquility. We've come from camping, or we've come from a lodge where there's been noise. We come here and you can hear a bird, or you can hear the waves crash. You fall asleep to the ocean. But number one would be quality of service and the atmosphere, the ambience that this guest house provides to guests.
Okay, fair comment. What's been your most rewarding experience? And I'm sure there must have been a number, but what's been your most rewarding experience that you've had with a particular guest in your time in the hospitality industry?
There are so many, but to keep it more to topic, I would say about 4 weeks ago, we had a guest here. He had his right leg missing. Very interesting story, really nice gentleman, but he was absolutely amazed at how much time we had to give him and how much time I had and how much information and just the ability to be able to deal with his situation and to have that person come at the end of their stay, and they don't really have to say thank you, but to come out of their way and go, you know what, you made it worthwhile. And that same gentleman in 2 weeks' time is booked for another 14 days. So that to me is just awesome to have touched somebody on that level, specifically within a 14-day period. They're like, I want the same room, I'm staying for 14 days.
Listen, that's just success written all over it when somebody says they want to come back for another trip within 14-day period. So well done to you and your team. I'm sure there must have been somebody else helping you as well.
I've got a wonderful team here.
We're going to get there. We're going to get to that at some stage, Shaun. Tell me about, in your 22 years, nearly a quarter of a century time in the hospitality industry, you must have had a funny incident. And again, there's probably many that might not have been funny at the time, but something that you can reflect on and share with us today.
I don't think there's one specific one. I just think interactions with different denominations, different countries. I think the funniest one I had was about a month or two ago. We had a group here. We all know the Europeans. They're very open and they're very outgoing people. And a warm day in Swakopmund, walked in to do breakfast, and as I opened the door, my guest in room 6 is standing in a pair of pink bunny slippers in boxers with a cigarette and a cup of coffee. And he's just got the biggest grin on his face. And I'm like, bonjour, how are you? And there's his wife peeping up, just with one eye giggling, because the shock and look on my staff's faces, seeing this gentleman with this white flowing hair, all they saw was his white legs and these pink bunny slippers. Little incidents like that goes back to the testament of service. For somebody to feel that comfortable, to be able to do that in a place they don't even know. We had a good giggle. So maybe not a very funny story, but a very light-hearted moment in a very busy high season period.
Thank you for sharing that one, Shaun. Since you are quite renowned, or you fancy yourself in the kitchen, are there any foods that guests particularly fall in love with that you prepare?
I'll be really honest with you. I probably haven't cooked in about a year or two. I leave that to my wonderful chef, and I just inject him with guidance and knowledge. But I think the one thing that the guests find here is we've got quite a nice pastry selection. So we do your croissants, your Danish almond pastries, cinnabons. I've taken knowledge that I've gained over the years, and I've started implementing it into my staff to be able to ensure that, again, that the standard is kept and that quality that you want to give over, that quality of life experience that you want is always there. So I cannot take any credit for the last how many months I've been here. The reviews on the food is all my chef. That's nothing to do with me.
We thank you for your honesty, Shaun. Shaun, what kind of wildlife or nature experiences can guests expect?
We have a very good relationship with a lot of the tour guides or a lot of the tour companies around here. So one of the 3 most popular tours that we put guests on are Tommy's Living Desert Tour. I always joke with people and I say to them, you go to South Africa to see the big 5, you come to me and Swakopmund to see the little 5. So what Tommy's does is they take you out into the Namib desert and they go and find all these wonderful little creatures. They drop a bag of knowledge on you about the ecosystem and how, with the Namib being the most driest desert on the planet, how these creatures survive and how the topography and the ecosystems work together. We've got the Sandwich Harbour tour, which is a wonderful tour. Then we've got the catamaran with wonderful operators, and you get to see seals and dolphins. And if you're really lucky, you may just see a whale on your trip. We've got a good relationship with a tour operator here known as Fat Bike Tours. You rent a bike, you can either do an e-bike tour or you can do a guided tour through the whole of Swakopmund and the desert. So those tours are our most popular tours around our guests.
Sounds very exhilarating, I must say. People often, as you say, they always look at South Africa and think Kruger. So it's nice to be able to get the word out of how much you can do out of Namibia as well.
There's a lot to see here. Just in general in Swakopmund, you can sandboard, you can quad bike, you can camel ride, you can take surfing lessons.
Okay, tell me somebody from your staff or community that really makes a difference and stands out.
I can't pinpoint one person. It would have to be my housekeeping team. Those ladies are legends. These guys really go and do their best. They push it to the limits. If you ask them at 4 o'clock in the afternoon to do something, even if it's a quiet day and they're meant to be knocking off, they will seriously push the limits to ensure that all guests are taken care of. Besides myself, they are essentially the face of the business. They deal with the guests. They sometimes take more flack, I must say, than I do, because I might be busy with something else and a guest will stop them, and the way they just carry themselves, I think that in itself shows an immense amount of how their character is built and the dedication they have to the guests. All in all, my housekeeping team, it would have to be that whole team.
Well, kudos for recognizing your team, and kudos to you, because we're only as good as the people that help us get there. So well done for that. Shaun, if a guest could take away one feeling after staying with you, what would you want that feeling to be?
Love and satisfaction. Satisfaction first, because every need was attended to. Everything that needed to be done at that specific moment was done, and done above the standards that they were expecting. And love because they were never rushed and they were at peace, and they've just fallen in love with the surrounding areas. Like I said, one of the biggest compliments we get here is how peaceful and how quiet and how much people love it. So I think love and satisfaction would be the two feelings that I hope people walk away with. And a feeling of, I want to go back. Really do want to go back sometime.
What are your hopes and aspirations for the future of Ocean House Guesthouse?
You're putting me in a predicament here, because I have my own personal thoughts and then I have thoughts that align to company policy as well. No, straight off the bat, I want to exceed the expectations both on a company level and on a guest level. So when a guest leaves here, I want them to be booking 2026 already. I want them to be making that mental note of, we're definitely coming back here. On a business side, I want to go above and beyond hitting every target. I would love to become the #1 Google rated, TripAdvisor rated, reviewed bed and breakfast by the end of 2026. I want my team to look back and know that they have a proper home work-life balance, that we've given everything in high season and we've given everything to the clients, but that we as a team haven't taken a knock. both physically and mentally. Mental health is also a huge aspect in the hospitality world. It's also an aspect that has been overlooked for many years, and it's something that we're realizing now needs to have a bigger spotlight on. If there was a Michelin guide for bed and breakfast, I'd like to have a 5-star rating, and I'd like to keep it that way. And also, I would like to provide the most safest, most comfortable environment for any person booking in, whether it's a mixed group, whether it's a bunch of dudes on a bachelor party, or whether it's a lady traveling solo. I want them to feel the moment they walk through these doors that they are at home and that they are safe.
So on that note, for people or prospective clients that are traveling to Africa for the first time, what would you say to those people to take away their apprehensiveness of coming to the continent?
Don't always believe what you hear in the news. Don't always believe social media. And you know what? Take the road less traveled. So when you come here, instead of doing all the touristy things, find a local and say to them, what are the hidden gems? Because when you travel, you get a tour guide or you get a tour book, and it just points out the highlighted, and sometimes you miss those jewels and those little nuggets within that town or within that experience that you wouldn't necessarily get. So don't be afraid to approach a local. Don't be afraid to walk into a local bar and order a local cuisine. But I think the biggest thing, and the thing that I get a lot of feedback is people often say, oh, we saw on the news this, we heard this in social media. But when we got here, it's not like that. So I think the first and foremost is make your own decisions, do your research, take things into consideration, health, safety, all your normal precautions. But when you come here with an open mind, first thing you do is find a local and say to them, what would you recommend? What do locals do? What is the local cuisine? I guarantee you it makes your experience a lot more fun and a lot more adventure seeking. And you have a lot more stories to tell your grandchildren and your friends when you get back.
Sure, that sounds like the right way to do it. And on that note, I know that Ocean House Guest House has been generous in giving a prize giveaway to a lucky listener of the podcast. So in your own words, would you tell us what you're going to be giving away, please, Shaun?
Yeah, so we're going to give you 2 funky nights stay here at Ocean House. You're going to have full access to my little boutique gym and my outstanding personality as a tour guide to point you in the directions of the best waves, the best sandboarding. But you're also going to have the availability of the beach, 300 meters from our entrance, a 12-minute walk to the most beautiful promenade where you can sit and have a cocktail and watch the sunset. 12 minutes into town to be able to do curio shopping, and the most peaceful, tranquil environment just to sit and read a book. So we are giving away a beautiful 2-night stay, valid from the 1st of the 8th this year until the 30th of the 4th next year. You guys have all the time to write in. I would suggest that they start writing in now, actually, because the moment I find out who wins this, I'm going to be planning something special for their arrival that I can tell you.
Thank you very much, Shaun, for that great prize. And I'm sure they're going to look forward to meeting you. And I know that you're going to be looking after them. Shaun, thank you very much for being a fantastic guest on the show. Really appreciate your time and enjoyed your enthusiasm and your energy. Thank you so much for coming on board.
Thank you so much for having me. As I said, it's a real honor. And I'm actually quite happy that there are podcasts out here like this that are helping to promote the tourism industry. So from me to you, from the deepest part of my heart, thank you so much for taking the time to do this and to help us promote hospitality as an industry. So I am really grateful for that.
Thank you. No, I love what I'm doing, and I hope that you get the benefits of being on the podcast. That was Shaun Taylor from Ocean House Guest House. Do not forget that fantastic prize giveaway. All the entry details can be found in the show notes of this episode, or head over to www.wildsunsets.travel/podcast. Tune in again next week when I'll be chatting to another great African tourism professional. My name is 𝐸𝐿𝐶, and consider this. A few years from now, you will not remember how much it cost you, but you will still remember the memories you made. Keep traveling.